Hi, Glenn.
Hey,
Hello.
no,
I'm sorry?
are you retired? Weren't you a pastor?
Yeah, I'm a retired pastor.
Oh, I had it. Your thing. Okay, good. I remember else, but not names the best.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Can I be nosy to ask which denomination?
United Methodist.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm also married to a retired pastor. Her name was Gay. She pastored the community congregation church right up the Pawnee here for 5 years.
And when did that end? When this new
About a year ago.
When Heather?
Yeah. when Heather
Okay,
started.
interesting. Well, that's awesome. She was well liked by the community. I know Reverend Susie dealt well with her. I don't know. Is it same last name?
Bosley Mitchell. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that Reverend Susie at St. Andrews, which I'm so sad.
I'm sorry.
Reverend Susie at St. Andrews, which she's no longer the pastor, and St. Andrews is closing.
Right. Yeah.
So she did well with the pastor at that point when they had to communicate of that church. So that must have been your wife at some point.
Yeah.
Good.
She and Susie did stuff together.
Yeah, because Susie was awesome. I still talk to Susie when I can.
Yeah. Sorry to hear they're closing, but I understand that,
Yeah, I have a community resource box in the yard there. And so it's a memorial to a young lady. It's kind of a tragic situation, but you could open it 24/7. There'll be socks or toilet paper or feminine products or hygiene or things that people would need,
Right.
pens. One time I got a grant to put like small art supplies for like people that would talk or something.
Yeah.
But it's got to come down. Unless I can figure out some way to independently fundraise for it, it just costs like enough every month for the little bottles and the stuff that
Yeah.
I haven't done well on the Facebook feeds, like asking for a direct item. So I'm not sure exactly how to approach it, but I could relocate it, but I can't fund it myself.
Right.
Teenagers need eggs in particular. Sorry. Those are high right
You
now.
talk to the community congregation church.
I'm not, but I live 2 houses up from them, seriously. So I could talk to Heather because it would be right on almost a main street too if it went into their
Yeah.
yard. So yeah, and they might have, because they have a good membership, don't they?
I mean, it comes and goes. It's
I'm sure, not saying much,
No,
it was
they-
bigger than what St. Andrews had. Yeah. It invited me, I just haven't made it to a service.
you might talk to the Kiwanis folks, maybe they'd do something.
There's a Kiwanis in Manitou?
What's that?
There's a Kiwanis in Manitou?
Yeah, they meet at the community congregational church.
Oh. Thank you, because that would be, it's not a lot, but it's enough, but if you give me a little bit and something, I can make it go.
Glenn and Anna, is it just the two of you or Rebecca there?
Yeah.
You have a quorum?
With Jack.
Rebecca and I are here, Glenn.
Okay.
You have
All
a
right. I'm not sure I know Aaliyah. So let's see. Crystal. I have Michael and Crystal, Nancy, me. Aaliyah said she was going to join here, and I'm not sure about Nate. I thought he would be in there in the meeting, but we will wait a couple minutes. Please, yeah, go on.
So about a quorum, is it 50%? Is it so many of the members, a majority?
It's like majority, I think. I'm the worst person to ask those questions to. But we're good. We should have,
Yeah, I thought it was 4 people, but I could be wrong.
I know, because how many we have, I think it probably was like that when we used to have just the small group, but now we've got a nice group, so.
Well, 4 people is a majority of 7. So
Oh, there we go. Yep,
Yeah.
smart. Yep, yep. So let's see. So we have the quorum, so we can just go ahead and start. Like I said, I don't think. Let me see. Yeah, Crystal just said she's not going to turn her camera on right this minute, but she's here. And then, like I said, Michael's on. So we can, oh yeah, and there's Amy. So yeah, so we can go ahead and I'll just call the meeting to order at 5:31. And if anyone else joins, they can hop on in. I don't see any public in the background there.
nope, there is no public.
Okay, awesome. And then I think we're still just delaying a little bit on some minutes. So
Yeah, actually, yeah, can I give you an update on the minutes? Or
yes, that'd be great.
it might be a conversation. So we've been following up and getting the minutes done for all 3 of our boards and commissions, including HAB. And we noticed that there aren't any there aren't any minutes that were prepared for the 2024 year, but we're also trying to understand, most of us are new as staff, and so we don't quite know what had been done before any of us were here. And I had heard from some other staff that at one time, this board prepared its own minutes. And I guess what I'm wondering is, is there some information, or did what's happened over the last couple years in terms of minutes? Was there a time when the board did its own minutes, and was there a time when it shifted over to staff? Or because we're trying to
Yep.
locate the last time minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, there were like originally like it was just a position, a secretary position, and then we were just sharing roles because we didn't have a secretary, so it was just, every month or whatever people were doing it. And then there was a staff member that was doing it for a while, and then that person like had other duties. So then I think, Aaliyah, correct me if I'm wrong, we went back to each just did like a rotating secretary. Every board member was responsible. And yeah.
Do you know if anybody on the board prepared any of the minutes for last year, for 2024? Does anybody recall?
Did we start the year out doing our own minutes and then mid-year it shifted over? And that's kind of my recollection, but
Yeah, because there was
Kind of
there was a
good.
guy that was doing them for a while. Do you remember who that was?
Was that Ethan Schaefer?
Yeah, I think he was doing them for a while, and then yeah, because we haven't shared the role in quite some time. So I
Okay,
I can try to look back at anything I have, but I think it would have been yeah, it was supposed to be, I think, a staff person. I don't know. Nancy, can you remember anything? I feel like my brain's a little clouded today.
Yeah, my sense is that Ethan was doing them and that you guys had minutes. I seem to recall from all of last year that you approved them. So, but according to the ordinance, each board, I believe, is supposed to have a secretary to do their own minutes. And I know HAB had some when oh God, I can't think of her name. Corrine was chair. She didn't, she took some uh liberties with what the ordinance was saying. So I would go back to the ordinance to find out who technically is supposed to do the minutes for HAB.
Yeah, and I think it was like all boards were like had a secretary, but then like they changed it and said, oh, well, we're gonna have a staff member do them. So
Yeah, I think that's right, Ally, because when Hannah was the planning chair, she was going back and forth as to how much responsibility she was going to take for each of the boards that she had responsibility for.
Okay,
Crystal,
so what,
Crystal has her hand up. I wasn't sure if she had remembered something.
No, I remember that we didn't have a secretary, that we were all taking turns, for a while. I wondered about the potential of using AI to take the meeting notes. Is that something that can happen at the city, or does city policy violate that?
So
There, there is no city policy on AI taking minutes, to my knowledge.
can I interject? Because I remember we did, and this may be a point of old business for this meeting or next, but it seems like I can't find the old minutes and that's prior to me, but we need to go back to instilling like a secretary on this board, and I would be willing to do that and take the minutes to resolve this in the future. Because I think we really need minutes. That's important.
Yes, we definitely do. So
Well,
Fred, what was it that you were like trying to get to about this? That just that you wanted to know where all of our minutes are and moving forward?
yeah, we were, and what I can do a little bit of digging and see if Ethan has, we can check Ethan's folders and see if he has any past minutes that we can find. Yeah, no, there isn't anything that, my understanding, there's nothing that prohibits us from using AI to do minutes as long as the board approves them. And so the board would have the chance, of course, to review and then approve them or not approve them. And as long as you approve them, the minutes are fine.
well, and can I just jump in that when we were taking minutes, we turn them in to the city staff every month, and then we did review and approve them. So I think my assumption is that minutes were uploaded and stored on the web page along with agendas.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. We'll do some digging and see what we can find. But for at least for past minutes, I think what we can do is we can take care of some past minutes for at least 2024, and get those knocked out. But yeah, if into the future, we can either take turns or find some sort of arrangement to spread the wealth so nobody's saddled with them.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Rebecca is willing to take charge, and I don't know if like what we just need to add to Zoom. Like at my office, we use Teams with like Copilot or something. I don't know, or Premiere or something, and it does like summary notes, but I don't know with Zoom.
It would be just as easy. I took notes for the Mac board, and I also years past was a paid temp to take notes for another board in this city. So it would be easier. I could just watch the Zoom. I don't know how quickly it's uploaded or get the video and just transcribe from there. It would be easiest for me because I'm not really familiar with AI, to be honest, at all, or any Copilot.
All right, Michael, were you gonna say something, or was that you lost the?
Yeah, I was just looking online to see about the requirements for using the audio transcription. And I'm assuming that the account is an enterprise account that the city's using or a pro account. Do you know? Or does anyone know?
Fred or Zach?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, so you have to have a pro, business, education, or enterprise account, and then enable cloud recording, and then enable audio transcription, and then I think that would be about it. So that might be a very easy solution.
Subscription? Michael, is that a subscription? Is that like a?
Yeah, I believe the city should have an account with Zoom, and that's how we're using this.
Yeah, and I'm quite confident the city has a business account because they had to get licenses back in the early days of COVID. Additionally, I would just, when you say transcription, that makes me a bit nervous because that's not the type of minutes that are typically taken for board minutes. So just to be cautious, we don't really need a transcription.
Yeah, or a summary or something. Anyway, Aaliyah, what were you gonna say?
Was Crystal, was your hand up from before, or I think your hand up was before mine?
Sorry, I did not mean to keep it up.
Okay. I found one data point. I took the meeting minutes from January 2024, and the only I have record of sharing those. I am not sure if we actually approved those at a meeting. I can forward those along. But that's the record from 2024 of minutes that I can find at this point.
Right. Well, I don't know. I guess I moved to nominate Rebecca to take to be our secretary if per her request, or I don't know if it was request, her agreement.
Offer, I second that.
All right. All in favor of Rebecca serving as our secretary?
In favor.
In favor. Yeah, all right. Thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate it. We'll
A
look.
quick question on the city. How quick is the Zoom available, the video to me to get, or the website after this meeting?
Zachary Davison, planner, for the record. It should be available almost immediately through YouTube,
YouTube, okay.
which is recorded simultaneously through while we're recording right now on the Zoom.
Okay, so that makes it doable by the next month, unless I have a lot going on. So it shouldn't be. Thank you. Okay, thank y'all.
And I don't know what you said you took notes before, but I know I could send you some templates of, it doesn't have to be word for word. It's obviously votes and some of the conversation, but it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like a transcription of the whole meeting. And where the AI could just be handy is it could just give you something to like work off of if it was like a summary. Sometimes it comes like as a summary. So
okay, thank you.
Yeah. Aaliyah?
When we were taking minutes towards the beginning of last year, I think we did for the beginning of the year, and then we had an offer from staff that we took up to take the minutes themselves. And but we were going back and forth on creating a Word template, and I think that would be really helpful, like where the agenda, basically starting with the agenda, right, and have kind of the agenda items already filled out in the Word document, and then a structure for kind of how we put in who was in attendance and all that kind of stuff. If we do that once and structure it, that'll just be so much more easy for you to create that each month. I think that'd be helpful.
Ali, are you asking that from like staff or just that we develop one like that?
I had one before, and I'm happy to kind of take the format. I know the format of the agendas has changed some, and so if there's a Word document of the agenda that somebody could send me, I'd be happy to kind of reformat that into a meeting minutes, or if planning staff has that already because you're creating meeting minutes for other boards, either way.
Zach, you're usually the one that does the agenda for us. Can we get a Word document of that?
A Word document of the agenda.
Yes.
I would have to talk to, I believe, whoever is in charge of kind of setting up those templates. Because right now, when we put in the agenda, it's done through a website. And
Okay.
it creates the PDF for us. Actually, you know what? There is a Word document for that. So I can publish a Word document, maybe
Okay.
just for Turtle, so that you guys have access to it.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then Rebecca, you can use that as sort of your template for taking the minutes, because then each like agenda item, like today, like, I mean, we sort of got talking about approval for minutes, but it could go on that agenda, if that makes sense. And then we'll share a couple samples of minutes, Rebecca, with you so you can see how they were formatted in the past.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. All right. Moving along, then we will move into new business, which is Aaliyah and our shared Google Drive, which I guess we could put our minutes in there and Rebecca can see them.
Good. I'm gonna share my screen if that's okay and just show you what we have.
Please.
All right, do you see Google Drive up?
Yes.
Okay, so we created a Google account. We have manitouhab@gmail.com. We use this back in the day to we had some business cards made and there's some communication via that email. You don't necessarily need to use that. But we used this drive probably for a couple years and built it out both with active working documents that we were developing as well as just a lot of resources that we created. So I haven't touched this for years, right? So I'm just gonna show you what's in here and we can if we determine we can use this and we can kind of restructure it however we want to, and I'm happy to help with that. So we had an admin folder where we worked on our annual budgets, and anything that we had to deal with in terms of we had some minor expenses for printing and for travel, various things like that. We had meetings. So there's, there is a couple, I guess I did put a couple things in from 2024 here. This was probably the meeting I did minutes of, January 2024. That's when and oh, hey, look, HAB minutes template. Look at that.
Oh, there we go. Nice.
Background and resources. So this was just, we had a lot of different stuff here. This is the, city of Manitou ordinance and standard operating procedures, which, this is sort of old. This was, I think, when we were looking at probably ADU ordinances. We created a logo. Does everyone know we have a logo? Here's the logo. Right
Not
there.
everybody, they're nodding, their heads no, and yes, so you can show them.
Beautiful. Check it out.
Nice, huh?
Nice, right? Yeah. So we have the logo made. And so anyways, this is a lot of different resources here. And then we had a planning folder where the I guess our 2023 retreat, which a number of you were there for, strategic planning, housing needs assessment, etc. And then projects. So this is where we were kind of working on ADUs and this Cheyenne Village, energy efficiency program, land trusts, and some stuff here for Prop 23 events. What's this? An open house. We traveled to Community Builders Housing Institute, Allison and I, and some others, a multiple day venue, and PBB article. And then I don't know if this is about living part tiny homes. So that's how we had this set up. It's, Google Drive, you have to you log into an account, right? And back then we all just had, we all shared the password and everyone was able to log into it. And I helped some people get it set up where you can access it through File Explorer and not have to go through the web as well, which is a really nice function of Drive. I'm not sure if there's maybe there's some other ways of we might be able to make all these public so there isn't even a password, and that might be helpful, and planning staff can weigh in. That might be helpful to make sure if we need to make any of this public to the public, then it's really easy to do that. I mean, nothing on here was confidential, right? And certainly we wouldn't have that moving forward. And so I think we need to understand if there's any limitations in how we would use this and what's already on here, but that's what we got.
That's awesome. It'd be a great place we can put all of the articles that Amy had written and some of the other things I'm sure we have that maybe didn't get added in there. And I know, I can't remember, was it Fred? Fred, you were the one that had said that it was okay that we had one, and we just had to make sure that if we ever were audited, that people could access it, but it didn't necessarily mean it had to be public.
Yeah, I confirmed with our attorney, you can, the HAB can have a drive like this, but it is subject to Colorado Open Records requests. So if we get a request for information that pertains to any of these documents in this drive, it would we would have to make sure that information that's requested is made available. So this drive, along with the city's drives and the city's information, is subject to Cora requests. So just keep that in mind when you store information in the drive. The other thing that our attorney wanted to make sure is that obviously if everybody has access to the subject matter in this drive, that's fine. But it's important not to discuss the documents, like, for example, in email back and forth. That would be a violation of open meetings law. So what you want to do is discuss any of these things at your meeting.
Okay.
Great. I think that's all totally reasonable.
Good. So Aaliyah, what were you saying, that it can be shared to each board member just in their email, or you said something about account?
Yeah, how we did it before is that, anyone can just log in if they have the password, right? It's to a couple numbers and share. That's how we all accessed it before. And I can look into if there's a way to access these, have like post these files, the drive online without password access. Or maybe it's better to have password access. I wasn't sure if there was any issue with access laws that Fred was just talking about in terms of password access or no password access.
Michael, I don't know, maybe you were just thinking, or do you know anything that would be helpful for us on this?
My preference would be to just share the drive with our personal Gmails. I think that would be the easiest for me. I don't know if anyone else has any input.
Everyone, thumbs up. I don't know. How about in the room? Who's in the room?
Fine.
Everyone's would be okay with that?
Does everyone have a Gmail that would work for them?
I mean, I have one that I don't like always use, but I would use that.
Mhm.
Does everyone else have Gmail or not have Gmail? Yes, no, okay.
At Gmail.
Everyone has some access to Gmail or could make a Gmail.
Yeah, I use Gmail.
Okay, good. All right.
Well, I can do that. And then if anyone has a problem with that, or if there is anyone that does not use Gmail, then you can share the login information.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, if you don't have Gmail like me, I'm kidding. I have Gmail, but I don't really use Gmail. Gmail or password. Awesome. Thank you, Aaliyah, for holding that and sharing about it. I think it's going to be helpful to
Yeah,
not have to be.
it will.
Excellent. All right. So I had just planted this as a second agenda item as like needed definitions and discussion, and it's stemmed out of just, us all using affordable and attainable, and, I know the things have changed, but just different words that we use. And when I was like Googling things just to see, like, I like that, like the Virginia, I thought it was kind of cool how they had different kind of myths and language just around affordable housing. And then of course we have our Pikes Peak Housing Network here in Colorado Springs that, is, I guess, our partner. And in some ways, Jill Gabler's been helpful and said that she's willing to, come to a meeting again or just help us. So I just wanted to ask everyone if they've thought about like needed definitions, and if, we'd want to just like reference people to like the Pikes Peak Housing Network or come up with our own sort of definitions, especially as like, I think with the potential LaFawn development, and if we're writing articles and people are speaking, like we want to be like clear in like our language.
I think it makes sense for us to have our own, like, not that they're going to be vastly different from anybody else, like, because they should be consistent, but being able to have our own, like, kind of glossary so that it's on the website or easily accessible rather than sending people to an outside agency.
Yeah.
Is just my thing.
Got it. Anyone else have thoughts?
I do. I would like to see I guess the first definition, our own doing maybe hooked to the city's website or our website. But I want affordable housing to be the top definition. It'd be cool if it was kind of creative, or like there was an example of how it related to Manitou, and I like the idea of having it in alphabetical. I like alphabetical, that's all.
Oh, kind of like how Pikes Peak Housing Network, I think theirs was like in alphabetical order. Like I said, a lot of them might be like similar, but like Crystal said, is just having like our own sort of like, kind of like the Virginia thing. Like I'm sure there's probably plenty of other people in Virginia that have similar, but that's their like housing forward page or whatever, and it would be our page of definition. So what about, so what are definitions? We know that affordable.
Hey,
I mean,
I was just gonna say I can't share it for some reason, but there's a glossary of terms. If you go to pphousingnetwork.org.
yeah, I can share it. Because that was the one that I had sent in the minutes, or in the, not minutes, agenda.
The thing I like about this one is they link to like HUD and they link to AMI, DOLA, CHAFA, all of these things. So it legitimizes the glossary or definitions.
Yeah, so this is where this is Pike Speak Housing Network, and they just call it like a working list of commonly associated terms of housing affordability, and it just sort of goes through a whole lot, every little thing. So I mean, we could have something like that, and let's see, what did you say? It has some links. So if I clicked on, oh yeah, so this is the federal government defining the housing and urban development defines affordable housing as 30%. And then I guess if I click on that link, it probably will take me to a page not found, probably because all the federal government's pages are under construction because they have to take all of their language and make some changes, right? So, yeah, so eventually we might be able to click back onto that. Has anyone else like sort of thought about it? I mean, like I said, some of these like are just like, yeah, like more like glossary things, but Michael?
Yeah, I like the glossary as well. I think that's very helpful in addition, but the myth busting site I thought was really great because it really draws you in whether you're already supportive of affordable housing or not. I thought that was super useful for actually getting people to read something. And then once you're interested, having the glossary to go and maybe, oh, well, what's this? Let me go do a little research. And then in terms of definitions to adopt, my personal take is that like the area median income is oftentimes not like the best measure of what I would think affordable housing is. I think in one of the Virginia definitions, they said everything less than 60% of area median income is affordable. And it almost seems like it would make more sense to tie to minimum wage to be more realistic about what people can afford.
There is, sorry. Katie in the city of Colorado Springs made a pretty good chart of where like the incomes span along with what kind of housing is typically appropriate or needed by those income levels. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, we don't want to say like 60% and under. I think maybe getting some permission to, use that chart that the Springs has. I don't think it all has to be, we make it, but because like area median income, that's El Paso County. That's not going to just be Manitou. So there's some of those things that it's broader. So like yeah, gosh.
Yeah, the other definition that I think can be a bit tricky is the assumption that housing should only be or up to 30% of your household income. And I think it kind of depends, especially as having a young child and seeing how much like daycare is. If you have multiple children in daycare, then I feel like that's going to change how much you can actually pay for housing. So you might not be able to afford 30%. And I think there's a lot of different people in different life situations where I don't really see the reasoning and saying, oh, well, this is fine. It seems like an arbitrary number.
So I love that, Michael, and part of me is like, that would be a really good article about the 30%, like why, like kind of a little bit of, not boring everybody to death, but a little bit of the history, like it's a pretty, but then also highlighting here's where here's where it doesn't work. And then one of the ugly realities is in the state of Colorado, nearly, well, I shouldn't, it's been a while. There's more people who are paying 40% or more of their income towards housing now, which technically means people are experiencing housing instability. And last year with that Colorado legislative change to say landlords can only expect twice as much as the income, like that was, I understand the desire behind that was to try and get people into housing, but it didn't help to get people into housing they could actually afford and sustain. So I don't know. I think that's a great conversation and would love to see an article.
Amy,
Hey, I think it was Allison that said putting the articles on our HAB page. And I think that, and it's not because I wrote them, you know, we're all going to take turns writing them and stuff. But I think sometimes like saying it in a voice in that lens is like what you said. It's kind of like that myth buster, Michael, you know, it's saying it without saying it. And we don't need, first of all, like, I'm inclined to say like how many hits to the HAB page are they getting? Like is that really what we're, you know, aiming to have, like use this bandwidth to create all this information on that webpage, when really what we've seen work is writing these articles, these kind of op-ed pieces, and saying what we want to say through that lens, and then putting those there to kind of live and breathe if you want to read that and stuff. But instead of this like the webpage has a glossary and like of course we can link to, you know, HUD, and we can link to this glossary and be a wealth of information. But I think like what Michael is saying and with help writing, like we've seen that action work, especially like with bringing new members onto the board and even getting the attention of city council. So if that's working, hey, you know, let's keep that up. Let's post those to our webpage, but write it in a way that's human. Like we're saying, like 40% is like maybe HUD measures it like this, but that's what I tried to do is like paint a picture like Sarah. She works at the keg. She's a single mom. She, you know, stuff like that, I think goes a long way. And then it's not this then it's not like Fred and Zach having to put all this stuff on the webpage. And, you know, it's like, let's work. What is it? Smarter, harder, or something?
yeah, smarter, not harder. Yeah, I agree, Amy. And I think people like, because we'll be people are always asking things. I know Nancy will probably say like in city council, people, I'm sure the members are like, what is this? What's affordable? What's attainable? What's workforce housing? So I mean, maybe using those models. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Virginia and the Pikes Peak Housing Network. Those were just two that I found, but sort of, you know, using those as just sort of landing points that we say, those are Manitou Housing Advisory Board, you know. This is,
Yeah.
we're the experts, right? Haha. But
The other
we
thing,
are in the city, we want to be that way. So we want to know our lingo. I know I'm always jumping around, muddling up words, I'm sure, phrases and definitions.
I love what Amy, how you're talking about it, because that really humanizes it. And people then can understand it and put it in a perspective that makes sense rather than just hear the numbers and going, well, where am I? You know, so yeah, I think that's beautiful.
Zach, did you have your hand up? Or do you have your hand is up?
hey, no, Zach's being helping me out here to I wanted to echo what Amy's raising, to humanize, create a storyboard. And on that, I think I mentioned this to Allison a week or so ago, to maybe reimagine the community profile sheet. And maybe that storyboard is reimagined through that community profile as part of the education, and then the glossaries and to Amy's point, you know, so it doesn't become a math technical exercise with all these glossary definitions, that it's sort of like the second part of it. So storyboard, humanized, community profile sheet reimagined, and then all of the technical rocket science definitions are there for reference. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Nate. Sorry, I probably because I couldn't see. I'm like, who's raising their hand in that room? So thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. Well, do we have like some passionate people that that want to like work on this, or do we want to like since we've muddled over it a little bit in our March meeting, come back with you know, more like firmer thoughts? Because I don't know the answer. Crystal, you have your hand up.
I have had to do a lot of the glossary work. And so I could probably, in Amy's working smarter, not harder, borrow some of the stuff that I've already done and share with you guys to like help with the last technical piece, if that is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have some of the examples, and then yeah, I know the city. This was, I don't know if this is what you were referencing. I just wanted to share this and tell me, Crystal, if this is what you were referencing, as in the city has a chart, or is that something different?
That's the
Housing Our
one.
Future, City of Colorado Springs.
Yeah. And yeah.
So they have like a little like infographic on what makes it affordable, and they talk about some 3A's of affordability, and then they have sort of like income threshold. So I'd have to like look at this more thoughtfully, but
Yeah, well, and the National Low Income Housing Coalition, they have really great material as well that we could reference and cite. Like, I think I really prefer, like, I think this could, the chart rather than being on the forefront, because it is kind of one of those, you know, you have to get really nerdy to get into it. Like, that could be on one of those final reference pages, maybe. But
yeah.
keeping that personalized, you know, these are our Manitou folks. Like, I think that's really good.
And if it helps and if there's interest, I'm happy to take a draft or a wireframe of remodeling that community profile into a bit more of a narrative style.
Yeah, because
If
that's just so everyone knows, that's when we were like we were sort of digging into the Plan Manitou, and my, you know, directions were probably vague. And so everyone was sort of looking all, all over the place in Plan Manitou. So Nate had found in Plan Manitou, there's sort of this community, you know, profile.
It's great work. It's great work. I just think there's an opportunity to build off of it.
Yeah, would members be okay if Nate, you know, worked on that and then, you know, brought it back, and then yeah, we can sort of talk again. Like Michael had said, I like those like myth sort of things too, and I know we've done that a little, Amy, in your articles and things, but to actually have it like as like, yeah, go to our, again, will people go? Maybe if we tell them to, because right now I'm not telling anyone to go to like a HAB page that has nothing on it, but that's where we could be like, yes, you know, you know, Sarah Brown, or yes, if you'd like more information, go to go to our HAB page, but we don't really have a HAB. I mean, we have a page, but we don't tell people to go there because there's nothing.
So how would we do that, Fred? Like, so, and I just want to say, like, the human side doesn't mean that we can't have the statistics and all of that because everybody has a different learning style. Like for me, I just want to, one of our goals has always been to educate. So, like if we were to say like, we'd really like this on our HAB page, like what would that process be like for, city staff?
Oh, that wouldn't be hard at all. The web pages are meant to inform and educate. So, yes, for for anybody who doesn't know, that the Housing Advisory Board has its own web page, and we have some information out there. We can send everybody a link if you haven't seen it, and you can take a look at what's currently up there. I think we do have information on the energy efficiency grant for as an example. So if your goal is to put out more information to help educate the public about housing affordability, area median income, and other things like that, the web page is I would think is the place to put to have it. Oh, there we go. Yep. Zach,
Is this it?
there it is.
Yeah, because we do have like a few little links. Ordinance, it's the agenda. Then down here there were, where did I see those? I did see some things. Oh yeah, all of our names. And then we have like a link to housing resource, I don't know what's on there, I should click. Pikes Peak area and agency, our strategic plan, programs and resources. So we have things, but yeah, I don't really draw people here because I'm not exactly sure what's on it. So let's see, we have like a homeowner's guide. It probably didn't change when I clicked, but it has like energy efficiency. It's more like community resources. And I kind of remember
It's under programs and services.
putting this together with someone.
Last click.
So anyway, it's there. So yeah, it sounds like they can pop some links in and
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Sorry if I was dancing around the question, but any information that the HAB wants on its webpage, just let us know, let Zach know, and we can get it up.
All right. So yeah, definitely we'll keep the articles going because I think it is the human side, and that's what's important for our small community, like that little sweet little baby I see on Michael's side. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a cutie. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you are so cute. It gave us a minute of happiness and joy there, that little human baby face. So yeah,
She brings many minutes of happiness and joy for sure.
oh, what is her name, Michael?
Maya.
Maya. Hi, Maya. Sweet. All right, so articles, human, people, we love that. And then we'll put some things, work on some language, and then the profile, the Plan Manitou profile that Nate said he'd work on. And then yeah, in March we'll circle back to talk about like, yeah, what if we, again, want to do some sort of like those little myth things like they did on the Virginia page, or if in your all the time that you all have, haha, but if you run across something else, Crystal, at your job, or Amy or anyone, please bring it forward. Rebecca, I mean, everybody, Glenn, I'll just keep naming people. So yes, Michael.
Yeah, I was going to ask Amy, I definitely agree with what you're saying about how if we have places that we already have traffic going to. We should maximize that. I don't know if if we'd be able to use the city Facebook to if we did want to do like a Manitou Mythbusters kind of little series and then have that posted to the city Facebook page or any other community pages. And then maybe in turn, then that direct back to the website where we have some of the boring information, so to speak.
Zach or Fred, do we have access to have things posted to Facebook, city Facebook page?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me ask our PIO and see what we can do. I don't know. I don't know anything about our policies for posting or anything like that. So let me get that information.
Good, yeah. And I know there's some like, the social ones that are Manitou centric sort of that are just open to anyone. Those are, I know we could always land things there too. So great idea. All right, well, seeing glassy eyes, I'll keep moving on with our agenda. So thank you. But just to wrap it up, Nate's gonna work on the Plan Manitou chart, and then we'll come back in March and continue this discussion on some more action items. So speaking of action items, Aaliyah, any updates on the energy efficiency?
So the update I have is that a couple months ago, we talked about different ways that we could get the word out and try and get some more participation aside from what we've already been doing. And one of those was informing and connecting with local contractors that work directly in Manitou. So I've started a list of contractors. It's not too long at this point. I reached out to, there's the Energy Resource Center, who we have coordinated with for many years. Howard Brooks was the executive director there, and he's who we mostly had a lot of back and forth with. I learned he retired last year. And so I've had some back and forth with somebody there to find out who would be best to share information with and make sure that they share it with their team. In the past, I know they have done a lot. I mean, a lot maybe isn't the right word. They are regularly in Manitou doing projects, and some of that is there are projects that are funded from other grants where people are getting 100% of the work paid, and so they wouldn't need any additional funding. But I know they also do other type of work, like my house. They came to my house 7 years ago and did insulation and a bunch of different things. So, and then I reached out to Marcus Electric and also got a couple other names from him of mechanical and plumbing contractors that work in Manitou. So I'll connect with them as well. And then had another couple names, just kind of looking at people online. So if anyone has any other names that they want to share, please go ahead and send that to me, and I will just, keep kind of, this can be an ongoing thing, just keep reaching out to people that we hear about and make sure that they know about the program and what it offers.
Also, like someone like Marcus said that he would present that to his customers.
It depends on the projects he's working on, I mean,
Okay.
He's just doing, because he's an electrical contractor, so he may be doing an electrical project that wouldn't have anything to do with.
It wouldn't have any, you got it. Okay.
But he also may be the electrician that's hired by a mechanical contractor who's installing a new heating system, for example, or a plumbing contractor for a system that might need some electrical work, or they're doing a bunch of things at once, right? And he's there and kind of sees what is going on. So, he's a big advocate for the community, and so I made him aware of it, and we didn't have time to chat much, but I see him regularly, so I'll chat with him more about it and make sure to answer any questions he has.
Great. Thank you. And yeah, I don't think no one's brought anything forward to us to approve anything. We didn't, we've just decided that the city can just approve as they come through.
Yes, so question for staff, if anything has come through, I'm guessing not, because they haven't made us aware, but yes, anything that follows the rules and guidelines, they process that.
Cool. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and we haven't got anything this year. I think the last ones that came through were in December. I think we did 3 energy efficiency rebate refund requests.
If we knew about those in December, that was recently. Could you maybe, if you have it now, great, or for our next meeting, could you summarize what it was that they got incentives for?
I definitely can. I can say right now as well. I think one was a furnace and there was 2, I think tier 2 toilets as well.
So one
Awesome.
one bigger ticket and 2 smaller ones. Okay.
Yep.
So did that use our 2024 budget and we have the full 2025 budget remaining?
Yes, that would have been out of the 2024 budget.
Thanks.
Good. All right, next item, Rebecca, how's you're feeling good for the Pikes Peak Bulletin article in March?
Yes, it's going well. I've done I've just completed the 6th interview. It's a short series of questions. It's like tenants and people that have rented mostly, and then properties and landlords. And there's an even distribution of each. Mike, I have a couple questions. One is, Miss Amy, what is the exact word count again? I cannot find where I wrote it down that it's expected, or length.
600.
600 words. Okay, and the date needed, you need it to get to you for Grammarly so I could get it. You could get it kind of looked through and I could get it to the bulletin.
So it's the Friday before it's due. So I think it's this. I have to check my calendar. Hold on.
It's due what day? Like the 3rd week or 2nd? Thank you.
Just 1 minute, she'll look at that. I should remember too, but. All right, so she's looking up the,
I have another question. I've gotten some pretty candid feedback and comments from both tenants and property managers here. I just want to kind of ask, should I include their names because they're all okay with it? Or is anonymous okay? Or is that credible? Just wanted kind of an opinion. Because when you tell me I have a hard time affording rent, I can't hardly afford toilet paper. Like I have a hard time putting your name on that, something like that, but I can.
You know,
yeah, I don't know what people think.
I was just thinking, I've seen in other places where they'll just use like a first name or,
Oh.
a first name and an initial, but Manitou's so small, like it also depends on what the name is, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Amy M, or you could just say like 10-year Manitou resident or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like it's due on the 10th. So that means it has to be to her by the 7th. So if you want to run it by me on the 6th.
6th of March. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna plow down it and try to write it this weekend so it doesn't run into Carnival too bad or anything. Last minute.
Cool.
Thank you.
And
Thank
then
you.
that logo, actually, Aaliyah, like I was sending that to the.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
cool. So yeah, you got a couple ideas, Michael and then Nancy. I don't know which was first.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like the last thing we want is some type of community drama associated with HAB. So my recommendation would to not use the names and maybe just use fake first names.
How about the length of resident or the length you've been a property manager? Like 10-year landlord, 10-year.
Yeah.
Cause that
Yeah.
wouldn't identify anybody unless you were really trying.
Yeah, no, I think that's good to just sort of reference the time frame or the Nancy, what were your thoughts? Or was that by your hands up?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Amy that the articles are still being vetted through Cassandra, the PIO, correct?
I don't think so.
No, they're being vetted through the editor of the Pikes Peak Bulletin.
Okay.
Because we're not writing on behalf of the city. So it was Amy Mock, member of the Housing Advisory Board. I wasn't even writing on behalf of the Housing Advisory Board.
Okay.
It would that was that was kind of the caveat always was like, because I can't write on behalf of an entire advisory board that reports
Right.
to the city.
No, I think that will work. Thank you. We do have to be careful about what is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I mean, we've gone through like what, 3 PIOs now. So if Cassandra wants to look at it or whatever,
Yeah.
Alex looked at it in the past, and then, once they understand that what we're doing here, like, it doesn't seem to be an issue, but it's also like, it's Rebecca's name at the end of the day,
Okay.
just like it was mine.
Yep. Thank you. That helps. And the same for Facebook posts would be if it goes on the city Facebook page. So thanks.
Got it. Okay. Rebecca, any other questions?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. I'm excited to read it. So then our next agenda item is we will need a article topic and volunteer writer for May. Any exciting takers? I mean, we can wait and talk about this in March. You guys can think about it, see what's sort of coming down the pike. Does that sound good? Because we have a little bit time, so, all right. We'll move on with that, and then were there any other action items that people had that we needed to talk about?
Hi, Allison. I just wanted to circle back real quick, if it's okay, on
Yeah.
the series that Rebecca's doing, which sounds amazing, and that it's sort of not viewed as coming from the HAB board. What's the distinction there? How do you decouple that series, which sort of was approved by the board to be just from Rebecca directly? It's just a question. It's just a clarifying question.
Yeah, it is true, because I mean, when I wrote it, it was like HAB chair, so I mean, we're using the logo and it is HAB, so like Amy, when your thing was saying that it would just be Rebecca's article, it's like we've all discussed it and approved it.
The byline was Amy Mock, member of. It wasn't by housing advisory member Amy Mock. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like Nate said, it is sort of, we're talking about it and supporting it. So it is a HAB article that's written by Rebecca.
Right, but why would that mandate city approval?
Yeah, I don't think it was city approval. I think Nate was just trying to clarify, is it a HAB article written by Rebecca, or is it a article written by Rebecca?
I just think that, look, like when you say byline blah 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 member of, you're insinuating like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, because like it's kind of your accreditation within the byline, and then you can, if you're more interested, you can go and look at our minutes and see that, yeah, we have discussed those topics.
Nate, does that answer your question or is that muddying it up even more?
No, I appreciate you addressing it.
Yeah, so I mean, they are HAB articles. They're just written by different people that we talk about, but we're a community advisory board, and I think that's from what I understand, we have a little more freedom. We don't, it's not like we're like the planning department writing notes. We're like the advisory board, and from Fred's, the way he speaks about it, we have a little more freedom. And if Nancy, if that's something that's not true, then we just need to know more about that.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Denise and John Graham about this at one point. So I'm, I like what Amy says, and I, at this point, would support that, but Fred, you may want to go back and check to make sure. Because I was under the impression back when Alex was here that all the articles were going through, be actually vetted through Alex to be okay to publish. But I have been disabused of that assumption at this point. So
I feel
I
like the thing with Alex is that that was brand new. Like we had never done that before. And so that's why Alex had looked at it. But I kind of look at it as an op-ed piece, you know, like which is just, you know, an opinion, I guess, colored through the lens of the Housing Advisory Board.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the context that this question came up in was when the Pikes Peak Bulletin was looking for the city to provide funding via buying space in the newspaper to publish city stuff. And I did say that the HAB was doing it without a charge, you know, that, so it came up as how, because we don't want it to be seen like the Pikes Peak Bulletin is a voice of the city.
Right. So we did
Don't-
address that. Like that was a concern with Alex. And I remember talking to the Pikes Peak Bulletin and they said, it was Rhonda at the time, but they said we're looking at it as content creation, gratis, content creation, and we're rotating you with Pac-Man and other community memberships. So they thought it was a robust you know,
Yeah, the difference between
representation.
the difference between Pac-Man and HAB is a formal board under the city council.
Well, it wasn't just
Pac-Man
HAB, it was also, I mean, not just Pac-Man, but
Yeah,
I do see
Para,
what
but
you're saying.
Para, I think, had written a couple, like, yeah, it wasn't
Okay,
just
so
us.
Paris doing it too, I think.
Yeah, it was also the sustainability.
Yeah.
And they're not a city group either.
But it was just a whole collective,
yeah.
you know, and so that's why we rotated. And so it was just kind of like a placeholder for community.
Yeah, I want to be very clear. I think that it's great. I just get a little nervous, that's all.
No,
All
and
right.
like here's the thing, it's like for me, like we go back like 3 PIOs, like 2 planning directors, 3 publishers of the paper. And I know like Nancy, you're like, believe me, tell me about it. But it's just like it's kind of it gets a little for me frustrating to be like, okay, we and I
Yeah.
guess that's just part of age. So whatever.
Yeah, so at this point, I think that you can, what is it, better to ask forgiveness than permission or something?
Yeah. And I mean, Fred, you can ask, like, just to, since there is a new public information officer, if they need any info or if we're good. So
Yeah,
you can
that makes
ask.
absolutely. I'll talk with Cass about that, and just it makes sense for us all to understand what the city's policies are when it comes
Yeah.
to putting out public information and making sure that we're following that, whatever that is. So yeah, I'll
Okay.
get that information.
Okay, that'd be great. Have that for next month. All right. So the next item is, Fred, I know we gave our feedback, and then do you have any follow-up on when you met with was it planning and city council when they did any of the update?
Yeah, not a whole lot of information, but we, so the work session that we had with Planning Commission and City Council was was at a very high level. It was a high level discussion, talking generally about what we heard from the public and what we heard from the working groups. And so there was a little bit of detail that was discussed, but it was usually it was relating to the some of the specific recommendations that our working groups had. I did talk with our consultant about HAB's recommendation, and she thought that it made sense to put it in what we call our ongoing priorities. So let me back up a little bit. If you recall, we have basically three buckets. One is the strategic priorities, which is the short list of things that we're either currently doing right now or we have funding for. Number two is the ongoing priorities. These are usually ongoing things that are happening. And then the third bucket is the other priorities, the other action items that we currently do not have funding for, or are not on our radar, or we don't have the resources to work on, but we don't want them to drop off of our list. Our consultant thought that it made sense that discussing and including Prop 123 and work around that would be appropriate in our ongoing priorities, because number one, we've already threw our hat in, and we've already identified a goal for ourselves. And so it's ongoing. It's essentially ongoing. So that's what is proposed to happen. This also does not change any of the housing goals that are currently in Plan Manitou. And we do have, and I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, but we do have housing goals that are currently in Plan Manitou that I think funding from Prop 123 could help us achieve. So I don't think we don't see any conflict or anything like that. We think that it will work out very well as an ongoing priority.
Okay, excellent. And then you had mentioned that there was a typo that Green Willow small scale thing that we were all like, where did that come from? Was a
Yes, that's
typo?
right. And actually, now that I recall, I think some of our working groups folks had asked the same thing. I don't know where that information came from, but Green Willow has not been, at least to my knowledge, the owners of the Green Willow property have not approached the city to donate it or offer it for sale or anything like that. Our understanding is to date is that the owners of the Green Willow property are moving forward with demolition. They received a demolition permit from City Council. They have not gotten a demolition permit from Pikes Peak Building Authority, and anybody who drives past it can see that demolition hasn't occurred yet. But they've also submitted a preliminary plan for redevelopment. So our understanding is whenever they move forward, they're going to move forward with redeveloping it themselves.
All right. So that leads sort of to the next agenda item that Nate and I think somebody else had sort of said that we should sort of have like a little standing sort of review on some of our Prop 123 development goals, 47 units by 2026, and then the conversations around that. And I'm curious, I don't know if with Cheyenne Village and stuff, we sort of went to Cheyenne Village, a group of us, and we're like, when they were selling it, to try to say, would you be willing to look at some kind of development, and then we sort of did this again with Peregrine, and they kind of had to because they got denied in the, planning, they like decided to do the affordable and try to get some funding. So that kind of worked out. That was a different, we did ask them to look into it. So that was pretty cool that they did. So I wonder if like with the Green Willow, if we'd want to try to like figure out who they are and be like, hey, are you aware that these are some benefits in our community that could be available as you're looking to redevelop? I don't know. And yeah, who would want to do that? Or, I don't mind trying to reach out to someone. If you guys are okay with it.
Yeah, and for anybody, we do staff has contact information for Green Willow if anybody's interested.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea, hurt to, maybe we could invite them to our meeting and they give us, they probably don't, I don't know if they have any plans for redevelopment, but they could give us some information on what they're thinking and we could give them some information on
Yeah.
what's available and Prop 123 and the
Yep.
relationship.
All right. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll reach out to you guys, Fred and Zach, get that info, and I'll see if I can connect with someone. And then, we have next month, Crystal, remember it's a Thursday meeting, everyone, after after it's like the Manny Awards, the next day is our HAB meeting. And we can do it virtual since it's a Thursday, if we want to make it just a virtual meeting. Or no, they're coming, right? Were Aaron and Randy actually coming to the meeting, or are they virtual?
I think they were planning on coming to the meeting.
Okay.
But if it's better to be virtual, I think they'll be okay with that too. I just need to let them know what we want to do.
I don't think, what do people are most people? I mean, I was just virtual today because I having a little head cold, but like typically I probably would have been in the room, but
I'm always gonna prefer virtual. It just works out easier for my family.
yeah.
Can you remind me who is coming to our March meeting?
So Aaron McNabb is from the state of Colorado, from DOLA, Department of Local Affairs. And then Randy Davis is from El Paso County, and she manages some like grants and things like that that help with affordable housing from the county side. And one of the questions that before I invited her to come was to say, so if it's the county, does that include within the cities, or is that because like some of the county funding is only for county only? But she said that no, some of the funding that she has could go to helping a development within Manitou. And so they'll just both kind of talk about their programs and how to connect with them. And if you have like specific questions, I would love to like share those with them ahead of time so that they can come prepared.
Yeah, and I know one of them that I think I asked you to ask at another, like a large meeting, maybe no, whatever, is always like small scale development, like what's available for like, places like, like a church or something that says we want to try to redevelop and turn, but they only want to do like 5 units. What type of resources are available for that, as well as someone like, Green Willow or Peregrine? I mean, we know there's the LIHTC, but what are things that are available? And then that would be good. Then I can try to, maybe we have that meeting and then I can, if I reach out to Green Willow, I could ask them if, they'd want to come to the April meeting, or so that we have a little more education under us. And Aaliyah, the DOLA, like we had those 2 people come from DOLA, the woman, I can't remember her name, but she left, and then that's Erin is in her position. So maybe getting again, a little more information about funding and Prop 123, if anything's changed. I think that will be a big thing, Crystal, is, now that it's been going on for I don't know, a year and a half or whatever, what are changes and what are things that, we could put out there for people wanting to develop, in Manitou, which include, smaller developments and then bigger ones. All right. So yeah, so we'll just like each month if things come up. I mean, the LaFawn, the Peregrine, I think is just sort of on a standstill. They're doing the LIHTC and um, I imagine that I don't know, if we'll want to do an article around, I don't know, more on that. I don't know. I'm just speaking. Now, Park Row Motel, Nancy had said that they're selling. I haven't seen anything.
Should we invite like Peregrine to come to the meeting in March or or Willow so that they're hearing it kind of directly from Randy and Aaron? I mean, I don't,
Oh, that's a good idea.
It
We
might
could
be,
do that.
excuse me, but in my opinion, it might be helpful for Paragon to be invited so they would have knowledge of the funding resources.
Yeah. So Peregrine and even the Green Willow, or you're just saying, yeah. Okay.
yeah, I think anybody that you've talked to or we've talked to that is interested in potentially doing something in Manitou, it would kind of make sense to say, hey, we're having these people here if you want to come and learn and ask some questions.
That's a good idea. Okay.
We would probably benefit from hearing the questions that they ask too, probably would get a broader set of knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
And Crystal, a specific question would be how to convert what is available to convert hotels? Because Park Row is definitely a possibility in that regard.
And because I live over by Park Road, my brain goes to what's the flood impact of doing that in that location. Because we're all in a floodplain over here, which kind of complicates a lot of building and loan issues.
Yeah. I know that like the Dillon, I mean, the Dillon's now going to be a parking lot, but I know at one time, remember that the owner of the Dillon came and spoke to HAB, Aaliyah. Do you remember that? And he had a whole like design thing that was I'll see if I can find it, but it was in the development brought in sort of that floodplain thing, but the way that he had, was looking at the development, it wasn't going to be an issue, I don't think. But again, he had just sort of done some basic things, and then that fell off the table. So
Another question I have, Crystal, is we've discussed it slightly before, but it's on many of our historic buildings and how we can work with funding to help get those fixed and put into affordable housing.
awesome. All right. Yeah, that's a great idea. So Crystal, or HAB, I'll reach out to Peregrine, Green Willow, and then even the Cheyenne Village. Keep calling it that. I know it's not called that anymore, but the property that's up Crystal Park Road, kind of across from the cantina. I felt like there might be some development conversations on that one too.
So John Weiss is obviously the one looking into that. So
Okay.
And
you talk with him if you feel the need.
What's that?
You might want to invite him to the March meeting too.
Yeah.
Well, because
Okay.
I think that would be helpful for him.
Yeah, I will. And so Crystal, will you let them know that we're also inviting some public? We don't know if they'll
show up or not.
confirm, but that we'll be inviting some developers to be able to ask some questions.
And I just want to say, if anybody has other questions that they want, and you think of them later, just email them to me and I can get them to them as well.
Okay.
So this sounds like it should be a hybrid meeting, inviting people to come in person, I think will be.
Yeah.
And we can still have the remote aspect, but I should be able to make it, so I'll plan on being.
Yeah. So if they can come, I mean, Crystal, again, it's up to you and their, and again, we know people change because life and family, but yeah, they'll always be hybrid meetings. So I think that works for everyone. So
And Allison, I hate to interrupt, but I have people going to be knocking on my door in 5 minutes. So I'm going to need to go. So the ADU question, council did ask about this, and Fred would probably have some input. But and I don't know who else is aware of the law, if you guys have discussed it before, that the law is requiring that communities take action with ADUs. And have you guys discussed that at all to date? That, and we have to have whatever policy in place by June.
we haven't, and I think that's where, yeah, Fred, you want to
I've
make
got a
sure
little
we
bit.
have direction and how we can help, because like I said, we have, as Aaliyah was showing, we've done a lot of we've had a lot of good conversation and information around ADUs that could work well for Manitou. So
Yeah, there's it's also on the Planning Commission's radar, of course. So what we're doing is kind of a larger review. There was it wasn't just ADUs, but there was a series of legislation that was passed last year that imposes some potential requirements on communities of different sizes to adopt. And ADUs is one of those. And so we're looking at that. And I'm talking with our attorney about that to understand what we are required to do and what we're not required to do. So as we have those conversations with the Planning Commission, I'll keep this board involved, and it might, if we have a working session or something like that, it might make sense for Planning Commission and HAB to have or invite HAB to a Planning Commission meeting or vice versa or something like that to talk about this. But it appears like that we are required to allow ADUs in some way. I still need to I need to digest the legislation a little bit more. So but we'll be moving forward with that this year.
yeah, that's great news. Like I said, we've been that's been on our priority list for Andy Wells, who's long moved away. Like it was always something like making it Manitou to fit with Manitou. It's not gonna, they might not gonna, ADUs aren't gonna be citywide, but there's a lot of great neighborhoods and a lot of like attached ADUs that can work well with our city. So yeah, we'd love to be, for the record, part of that conversation. I think
Sounds
everyone would agree. Okay. All right. Well, that was the agenda. Do we have any other reports from Nancy gave her report? City staff, I think you've given your reports.
Allison, I was just going to do a quick postscript on two other sort of real estate FYIs. One is, and I know you're close to this, at the Unity Congregation Church, the parsonage. And so that's become sort of a strategic focus of the church in terms of how to repurpose and think about that property. It's a wonderful property. So I volunteered to support Dan Stewart, who's a member of the church as well. So I'm on that subcommittee. So that's just
awesome.
to this group. So we have representation there. It's a really, really nice property. And then the other, from being new to the community, feels like a bit of heartbreak with what I understand is St. Andrew's. The church is no longer going to be an operating church. So I don't know the implications there. But in terms of us sort of tracking the portfolio of activity across the various properties and assets in the community from an affordable housing standpoint, I just thought I'd raise that.
Yeah, thank you. And Nate, if you um could maybe invite um some of the committee members around the Congregational Church, that little house, because yeah, that was one that I was referencing sort of in the small scale. But if, I mean, obviously you'll be at the meeting, but if any other committee members would want to come and ask questions of our DOLA and county rep, that would be encouraged.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you for bringing that up. All right, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. We did it. I don't see anything else on the agenda. And I sure appreciate everyone's time, and we will call it a meeting, 7:01. Thank you, everyone.
You.
Bye.
Hi,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone in the room. Thank you for your time.